is Judy from 50 Minutes of Fear, and I am joined again with Adrienne and Rich, who are the creators and hosts of the Rumpled Trench Coat podcast. I just want to take a minute to thank our veterans today because we're recording on Veterans Day. So thank you all for your service. We today are discussing weapons. And the first question I have to ask is, Adrienne, did you even watch this movie?
That's a fair question. As you
Yes.
know, how I prepare for anything is that I do nothing until 5 seconds before it's occurring. But not only did I watch Weapons, I watched it twice. I saw it once in the movies, and then I watched it in preparation for today.
Okay.
So yes.
All right. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. So we are, spoiler alert around all of this one, because we just talk about everything. So if you haven't seen Weapons, watch it because you're going to hear all about it. And also spoiler.
Wait, if you haven't seen it, take a page out of my work ethic book.
Yeah. And don't watch it. Just listen.
Don't watch it. Just listen. You don't
just
need to
listen to the podcast and you'll know if you liked it or not, because we'll tell you if you did. Right. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Ozark. And we're also, so let's talk about the movie. So I got a lot of these facts from Wikipedia, and I strongly recommend reading the Wikipedia page on this film. There's a shocking amount of information for a 2025 movie. So this movie is made in 2025. It's currently streaming on HBO Max. It stars Julia Gardner, Amy Madigan, and Josh Brolin. Some of my favorite actors. We'll talk about them later. But the cast also includes the wonderful Benedict Wong, who is in he's in one of the Doctor Strange. He's in Doctor Strange, and I love this actor. He's a British actor, and anything he's in, you should watch because that's how great he is. Austin Abrams from Euphoria is also in the cast, and some wonderful children actors who I think must have had a lot of fun making this project, but they're led by Carrie Christopher, who's just great. Also, Justin Long doesn't seem to pass up any opportunity to appear in a horror movie, so he has a quick appearance in this film. And really, the entire cast is great. And this is one of those films where the casts just elevate the movie, right? So it's definitely a horror film. It's definitely a thriller, but there's great actors who are just wonderful at what they do. The script was written by Jack Krieger. And the Wikipedia notes say that he was inspired to write the project after the death of his close friend and collaborator, actor, comedian, writer, and producer Trevor Moore, who died in a fall in 2021. So that's very sad. I know, it's awful. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times this great art comes out of a tragedy. And, I hope him and his loved ones are healing after that. That's still very recent. The script creates complex characters, and Krieger takes care to explore them and deal with the devastation at issue in this film as the plot unfolds. The casting for this film changed over time with various replacements due to scheduling issues, but honestly, I really think the right people landed in the role. I'm going to comment on Amy Madigan's performance later, but she, in my opinion, just does not work enough. She is a wonderful actor, and I loved seeing her. Weapons received a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critics' reviews are largely positive. The movie makes money. As of November 6, 2025, Weapons grossed $152 million in the United States and Canada, and $117 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $268 million, which is really, really great for a horror film. Yep. And in September of 2025, Variety reported they were expecting the film to have a theatrical release profit of $65 million. So this is definitely it's a really profitable project. For a lot more of the production notes, please do check out Wikipedia. Like I said, there's a lot of good stuff about Krieger and the journey to make the film. Of note, Krieger wrote Barbarian, which is one of my favorite newer movies, and I will definitely be podcasting on that one in the future. Let's see. What? Yeah, that was
and starring Justin Long.
Starring Justin Long, exactly. Who again, just any excuse to put on a mustache and act in a horror film, and he's gonna do it.
Was he
He's
the
just
cop? I don't know the actor's name.
okay.
So was he, who
Justin
was
Long.
he?
Oh,
Yeah, Justin Long is great. Did you see? I'm not gonna think of it right now. Adrian, what's the one with the car?
Wait a minute. Was he the police chief?
No,
that was
Because
Toby
I like that
Huss,
character actor too.
That's
Yeah.
Toby
Yeah.
Huss. He's King of Hill voice actor. I love
Okay, okay.
he was great.
And
Yeah.
everything.
Long was one half of the couple that just showed video footage of their kid. And he was in it just for a minute. You'll remember him. He's
from
like
the Mac and PC commercials,
yes.
right? Yeah, he was the Mac. Yes, okay.
He was the cool Mac.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
The cool Mac, not the nerd PC.
Not the nerd John Hodgman PC. Yes. Okay.
And also, he was also in Tusk, and he was also in Drag Me to Hell, and he just, he comes up a lot in the horror venues. Yeah.
Oh, that was such a
it didn't go well for him in Jeepers Creepers. So so let's talk about the cast a little bit more. So Julia Gardner plays the school teacher Justine Gandy, and she was in Ozark and in The Werewolf. And The Werewolf, I'm gonna recommend that everyone watch The Werewolf, even though it's flawed, because her direction and acting in that film is so great that I don't know if I'm obsessed with Julia, or I'm just very interested in the way they direct her. She's a funny actress. I love her performances. I think she's great, but her direction, not in Ozark as much, but in the most recent project she's been in, is this delicate, quiet, almost demure, calm character. And it's a really interesting juxtaposition, because when she does have an aggressive scene, which, yelling, just asserting herself with the principal and asserting herself to try to get her way with things, she can do it. And she comes across as this little tiny wisp of a person, but then she can be really aggressive, which is really jarring. And maybe that's why she's directed that way. But I just think that's really interesting. But the thing that I love about her is she actually reminds me of the animated dentist Hermie from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because it's like her mouth doesn't coordinate with her face, right? Like I will watch her and she just does this, and it's a very interesting acting technique, and it's almost like, just because you don't have lines and just because you're not speaking, you're constantly in the scene and you're constantly acting. And I think that's just a brilliant way to act. But it's also kind of funny because she can't come on a screen without people noticing her. She always is there, and she will convey so much just from twitching her mouth or doing something. So I just find her acting technique fascinating. I think she's wonderful.
I had even commented on that in my own mind, which I guess is not actually commenting of it, more thinking of it. But
are you describing a thought?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was doing.
You're allowed to have thoughts.
Yes. When at one point she smiled while her lips were downturned.
Yeah.
And it was just it was odd, but you knew that she was smiling, but it was also a half grimace. It was when she was saying goodbye to the cop in the car.
Yeah.
And it was just, now that you say that, now I'm thinking Rankin Bass, yes. but it was a really great expression on her face that conveyed a lot. And I even thought it actually stuck out as, wow, that's, for some reason, it just really stuck out as that's odd that she's smiling while frowning at the same time. And it came across as very genuine.
Yeah. I should actually look up her acting credentials, because she, in my mind, is an actress who embodies acting. Like, I just feel like when she walks onto a set, she is in command. She knows what she's doing, and every element of her being is brought into that character. Because she's a little bit of a baddie in the sense that she's, we see that it kind of reminded me of Looking for Mr. Goodbar. I don't know if you guys know that reference.
I do.
Okay. so Looking for Mr. Goodbar involved it's a book and it was also a movie, but it involved a crime story where a teacher by day would go out to the New York clubs or bars at night. And unfortunately, she made a bad decision and she went home with someone who murdered her. And it just reminded me of this very wonderful separation. And that's what I mean about the characters in this film, where it's like, well, she's a wonderful teacher in this beautiful school. You can tell it's a nice neighborhood. I loved when they put her in the sweater with the heart on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that is a teacher's, that's the kind of teacher I want to say hello to for my young children. I want to see that. I love that. And then she's all sex pot McGee in the bar, drinking and enticing her ex-boyfriend to hang out with her. Right. So that's what I mean about her, the quality of her acting. Because I bought both sides. Right. I was like, no, this is the person. So, we want to talk a little bit more about the actors, because Josh Brolin is actually in this and he kind of breaks my heart as this. You can tell he's just struggling.
Oh yeah, no, he is not taking it well. I guess
he's not taking
should
it
we
well.
Just briefly, because you could describe the first part of the movie in like 2 sentences.
Sure.
And that is that just in this town, in one classroom, all but one of the students in the same class at 2:17 in the morning run out of their houses and are never seen again.
Right.
And so that's what the whole town is dealing with. And so Josh Brolin plays one of the fathers, and he is not taking it well.
No, he's not. And I love, again, they have such wonderful actors in this movie, and they give them so much to work with, where Josh he's successful. He's a family man. He loves his children. But he's also really angry and he's really mad and he doesn't know where to direct the anger, and he's going to solve this. He's not taking it lightly, to the detriment of his business, right? So there's that one scene where he goes to, he's a contractor, and he goes to one site and there's some mistakes made on the site. And I was laughing because I think the paint that was used on the door that was a mistake was the same paint that painted witch on her car, right? Is that?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I want to make a comment about the witch. So one of the scenes that that you're talking about is that this movie is told in various timelines.
Oh yeah, can you explain that, Adrienne?
Yeah. So it's told in like segments, and really more like chapters, POV chapters, I guess, point of view chapters. So we start off with Justine's story, and we follow, basically her walking into class and finding all of her pupils missing except for one kid. And, the fallout from sort of all of that and her drinking, like you were talking about. But when we watch Archer, who's played by Josh Brolin, he's the father. It's kind of a cute little sort of tie-in that he has extra red paint. And just in this scene before, we see that Justine, her car is vandalized, and they wrote witch and they didn't write bitch.
Well,
and
okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because this, after all, ends up being a witchy story.
Yeah. It's a witch problem. It's a witch problem.
It did, because it stood out. It would have been obvious that townspeople would have vandalized her by saying bitch or something worse. The fact that they said witch was such an antiquated insult. Say, that witch, who calls somebody a witch nowadays? But it was a wonderful nod. It was a wonderful little foreshadowing, because yes, that's ultimately what the issue becomes once we start to talk more about it. But and absolutely, the paint was supposed to be forest green, and instead it was this ridiculous red. And you don't know for sure, but because, as you said, Judy, Josh Brolin doesn't know how to direct his anger and where to.
He's so mad.
He's so mad that I think the presumption is that he's the one who painted the car, because he thinks the teacher, and so does the town, thinks that the teacher knows more than she's saying, because her entire class, except one kid, went missing. Nobody in any other class, nobody in town, just 17 out of the 18 students in her class got out of bed at 2:17 in the morning, ran into the woods, ran away from their homes, and were never seen again. And so, of course, the parents blame her, and Archer, being the parent handling it the worst really blames her. Like they want to harm her. They want to at least keep her. They want the police
They want
to
answers.
tie her up until
they
they
want
can get
answers.
answers out of her.
And not to harp on the witch thing, but isn't that a little bit of witch trials right there?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
100%.
The town is rallying to punish a woman who you do not believe or deem trustworthy.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think that is, first of all, this film is very uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable film to watch.
Yes.
I have a few comments. When I first watched this film, the first thing that registered for me was that the film has the realistic style that horror movies are now embracing, right? We see it in Terrifier. I first noticed the trend with It Follows. So I don't know if I've missed it a little bit, but It Follows, like there were leaves in the swimming pool. These, the girls were wearing jeans that I would have seen, right? So this is the movie that's very realistic. I actually Googled what type of filmmaking this is because I don't, I'm not a cinema student. And the closest I can find is that it's sort of like a cinema verite or a documentary look into what's going on, or a naturalism, where the film has these long takes and focuses on the context of the scene over a flashy film sequence. And I think what made that so special about this particular movie with these characters is that it makes the jump scares all the more delicious. Because there's a lot of, oh my God, jump scares. Like I jumped in this movie. And I think it really works.
They were good and they were earned. They weren't cheap jump scares. They were earned. And so, And so, like in the beginning, when we're following Justine, the teacher, we're literally following her. Where she's going into a liquor store and the camera's behind her. Like it's quite a while before we see her face, even though she's on the screen for a while. And it is just a little bit unsettling. And the music is just a little unsettling. And everything makes it uncomfortable. You're kind of waiting for that moment. They utilize the dead space wonderfully. They have somebody sitting in a car with like the entire field of view visible, and the subject is just kind of off in a corner, and something is going to show up in that field, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. That makes it even worse, more anxiety inducing.
And again, this overlying calmness, which kind of reminded me of Carol Kane's wonderful performance in When a Stranger Calls. It's it's this little tiny body in this space that's just a living room. She's just going to a liquor store. She's doing something we've all done a million times every day, but it's terrifying. And that's the build. Like Dominic even commented to me, he's like, I'm nervous. And I'm like, I know. So it's that kind of feel. And then let's just take it from there. So when we go into Justine's home and we're kind of like, well, what's the story with her? Because we'll be on her side, but are we on her side? And then she has a situation where she gets a very scary knock on her door. And then that's when we see her true colors. And she kind of yells back, like, what do you actually want? Because I would be under the bed calling the cops, getting a dog. I don't know. But she's very brave. And she goes outside and she's just like, what do you actually want?
She's had it and she's drunk.
It's a scary scene.
And it is scary because you are afraid for her. Don't forget that happens after the whole town meeting where everybody is demanding answers from her. They're not letting her speak. She's trying to say, I don't know what happened. I'm looking for answers too. My class disappeared on me. I have no idea what happened. And they're all calling her liars. And you know more than you're saying. And they chase her out of the building and someone paints witch on her car. And so after all of that, and by the way, I will also say this is the scariest comedy I've ever seen because they have such wonderful comedic beats throughout the whole movie. Like the principal is basically physically trying to restrain the crowd from attacking her. She goes to her car and he says, just go straight home. And then immediately she's at the liquor store. So that was obviously a comedy beat.
And they write him well. And that's what I mean about Benedict Wong. He's just another one of those real actors who just settles nicely into, I loved his character. later on down the road, he gets possessed and gets bewitched, and winds up having an issue. And my heart broke for that scene, because they give him a wonderful environment. Again, more layers. So Benedict's character, Marcus, is the principal, and he's very calm. He's the principal that you want for your kids. He's very calm. He's putting the children first. He knows there's a problem. He tells Justine, look, you can't be here. We're not mad at you, but you got to go.
Yep.
And, he has this lovely home life. And, he's just another one of those great actors. So, yeah. So
to the point, and I'm sorry, but also to the point where he helps establish other people's characters.
Absolutely.
He flat out is telling the teacher, look, I know you mean well, but you have boundary issues. And then in a later scene, she's breaking into a person's yard to peek through their back window of the kid that he specifically said you cannot talk to. So she's got boundary issues. And that's what you mean by, are we on her side? Or we are to a point, but she's also going out of her way. But also her character needed to go out of her way, because otherwise this wasn't going to end well if her character wasn't pushing boundaries and doing things she shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. When do we trust this character?
Right.
When do we know this character's on our side? Right. That's the real crux with her. So we might as well talk about some of the other characters. Some of the movie is set into the police department, obviously, because the police are called, they're involved. They look at the Ring cameras. Again, this is an affluent neighborhood. There is footage of these children walking off into the universe, and it is helmed by, I didn't grab his name. It's Toby Huss, who I actually thought was a different actor who starred in Disney films, because he looks like that, but no, it's Toby Huss. He plays Ed, and he is Paul, the patrolman's father-in-law. They clarify.
I think
just
fiance-in-law. I don't think they were married.
Yeah.
I don't think they were married, but they were obviously a couple, and that is her father. Yes.
Right. And so he's the police chief. And also in the cast, we talked about him a little bit, is the character of Paul Morgan, who's a police officer and Justine's ex. And he's kind of an interesting character, because I feel like he wants to do the right thing, but he also put himself in really bad circumstances in his own life.
Everybody's flawed in this movie.
Flawed.
Every single person, maybe with the exception of the principal, but every single person
Marcus is an
angel.
Flawed. Marcus and his husband are like little angels on earth.
Yes. Yeah.
And everyone else is flawed.
Yeah.
Everyone else is very real, where you do a little bit of good, you do a little bit of bad, and you just try to get through your day.
Yeah.
Right. And then
I'm sorry, but
go ahead.
So two of the characters are the cop and then the junkie.
Right.
And so
the wonderful junkie played by Austin Abrams.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And he was fantastic. They were obviously, everybody was great. And so in the beginning, you see this cop who kind of wants to do the right thing. And he's like, when he's putting the handcuffs on, he's like, hey, are these cuffs too tight? Are you okay? What's going on? Are you having a bad day? Whatever. And then when he frisks the kid and says about 10,000 times, do you have anything in here that's going to stick me? And he says, no. And he reaches his hand and is immediately stuck by a drug needle. He then cold cocks him. He just punches him in the face and immediately knocks him out. So he goes from, it's like, okay, this guy's obviously got a button that got pushed. He's obviously a hypochondriac, and that was a biggie, that he got stabbed by a drug needle. So that if it was almost anything else, he might have gotten angry, but I don't know that he would have necessarily punched a suspect unconscious in front of his own car's webcam or dash cam.
Oh yeah, he lost it.
Yeah, he completely lost all control briefly.
Yeah. And so again, as Adrienne was saying, this does build into everyone's individual story. So the first story is Justine, and we see her journey. And then Justine puts herself in a position where she just gets it in her head that she needs to speak to Alex, the student. And it's terrible, because she's basically hanging out outside of Alex's home. And here's where we get a little bit of flavor of what the ever-loving heck is going on, right? So as Justine's in her car, we see this odd character come out of the child's house and cut some hair from her head. And it's weird. And we don't know what's going on, and it's scary. And we see this. I thought it was a knife initially, and it turned out to be these big over the top scissors that are just wonderful. Right. And so we see that. And at this point, I knew, oh, witchcraft, this is going to be great, because I didn't read anything about this. And I was like, oh, this is going to be witchcraft and it's going to be great. And witchcraft was so popular in the 70s. I was like, that's the vibe. Let's go. Right. So that happened. And now we go into, let's talk about Alex's family, right? So Alex has this loving family, and they are very normal. It's a rush in the morning, running around. The house is a little messy. They all love each other, but it's not, breakfast on the table with 14 different forks and a juice glass. It's, we're getting ready for school. We got to go. We're going to clean up, right? And the reason is they're anticipating the stay of, I think it's the mom's aunt Gladys, right? Isn't that the lineage?
Yes.
Because so Aunt Gladys is coming, and that's Adrienne's Aunt Gladys there. And again, this is played by the amazing Amy Madigan. So Amy Madigan is married to Adrienne's boyfriend, Ed Harris. So keep that in mind. She does, and again, she just doesn't work enough as far as I'm concerned. I love her versatility as an actress. She delivers heartfelt, really real characters. So whether it's McCoy in a movie called Streets of Fire, where if you haven't seen it, absolutely check it out. It's bananas. Up to the put upon girlfriend of the lovable John Candy and Uncle Buck. So she is just,
okay. I didn't realize that was her.
She's just an amazing actress, and I love her. And I will give you a little bit of notes on this that I found. When writing Gladys's character, Krieger actually credits Madigan's performance, saying that she saved the film because when discussing the character, this is again from Wikipedia, he stated that he gave Madigan two options as Gladys's origins. One, where she was a regular person using witchcraft to prevent her dying from an incurable condition. And one where she was instead an immortal character performing an approximate, I don't know this word. It's basically trying to be a human being. But they didn't ask her which way Amy was going. So Amy created the character. And that's what I mean about really skilled actors. So Amy created this character and didn't tell anyone what the backstory is. But she knew what the backstory is. And I think that was the only criticism I have with this movie at all, is that I wanted more. I wanted to know why Gladys, what's Gladys's problem, basically. So we have Aunt Gladys. She comes to the school, or she comes into the people's lives, and we understand she's not well, and she looks extremely odd. So Adrienne, what do you have to say?
What I was going to say about this character, what I did appreciate, maybe is sort of tied into what you were saying, which is that I'm very happy to see the return of a scary witch.
Yes.
Judy and I love this French series on Netflix called Marianne. Yeah. And it's about a terrifying witch. And, don't get me wrong, I just watched, it's Halloweenish time. I just watched Practical Magic for the first time in my life. I love a cool witch. I love a beautiful, The Craft, one of my favorites, right? These are all cool, beautiful, fun witches.
Right.
You have, of course, with Anna Taylor-Joy, The Witch, which was that period piece, right? Which is like scary, but she was definitely, a victim to her environment. I love an unsympathetic, terrifying, cackling hag of a witch. Bring that back, because that's what this is.
Oh, 100%.
Like, she is evil as evil
she is. Did not give a damn about her family.
She might as well be in a gingerbread house with an oven, because she is unmitigatedly unsorry. She does not care. And there's a scene later on that I want to talk about what her relationship is with this young child, with Alex, right? So Gladys comes, she moves in. The husband's initially like, oh man, she's sick. I don't know. This is so sad. So initially the family that takes her in is really sympathetic. And we learn that they don't really know her very well. And we're just not sure. And then when she rolls in with her big bag of crazy. I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on. And a lot of the things that I liked about her is she did kind of have a reverse Mary Poppins, that purse that she opens and she takes out all of her magic stuff. I'm like, that's a reverse Mary Poppins. That bag is insane. And then also just her physicality in the role. I don't know what I mean, whoever came up with that costume design is amazing. So we learn that Gladys is in the family. She takes over the family and she is a witch. And then she goes on to create mayhem and havoc. And a lot of it is just kind of like, why? Like, what's your problem? What are you even doing? Right? Like she bewitches the parents, and then they put this little boy in it just managing what to do. And that's really the fun part about this movie too, where we have a very, very young hero child. And because he's flawed. He's flawed.
Are they like third graders?
Yeah. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. So now
I mean, the oldest grade, the school was K-5. So the absolute oldest he could have been was 12 as a fifth grader,
Yeah.
And he was much more like 8 or 9.
Yeah. So Alex's position now is that he goes home and he finds his parents sitting at the table and they're bewitched, right? So they're no longer his parents. They have a spell cast on them, and he's stuck with Aunt Gladys. And Aunt Gladys is mean to him. She's loud. She's nasty. She makes his parents do horrible things. Like he has them stab themselves in the face with forks and hurt themselves. And she basically says to Alex, I'm now in charge of everything and you're going to do my bidding. And Alex is like, okay, I will, because I have no option. And it's to the point where when Justine and Alex cross over, Justine's like, I just want to talk to you. And initially they had a good relationship. And after that, he's like, stay away from me, because now he's desperate and he wants to save his family. Right.
Yeah, it's clever because when you see it again, this is why I love the way they tell the story through different people's eyes. Initially, you think, oh, this kid doesn't like her when he says, stop following me. But then we realize he's trying to save the teacher's life and also not get his parents killed, because nobody's supposed to know about it. The reason the witch made the parents stab themselves with forks is to convince Alex, hey, you better do what I said, because I can make your parents kill each other, kill themselves, eat each other.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just so vicious.
She's a horror.
And she showed it, and this was the way it showed the audience, but also showed Alex how she bewitches people. And again, her hubris caught her in the end, because in a way to be so vicious, to show Alex, look how I can control your parents, she ultimately showed him how he could defeat her. And so that was a wonderful setup with a great payoff at the end.
Yeah. Well, again, let's go back to that Jack and the Beanstalk or David and Goliath. They really put this young child in such horrible peril with no allies. And he comes through. He comes through because Alex is a hero at the end, right? So, all right. So what happens next is we now see that the witch, Gladys, goes, we now find out why these kids go missing, right? So Alex goes to school, and he's told by Gladys, Gladys is very, very sick. I don't know if she's dying for cancer. We don't really know, but she looks like a cancer maybe patient or something, but she's very ill.
They didn't say it because it wasn't technically important. She was dying, and she needs, and this is all presumption, this is what we sort of find out along the way, but she needs to bewitch people to sap their powers to get better.
Right.
And she had hoped that the parents would have been enough to do it, but she was too far gone. And that's why she tells Alex, all right, bring me one of everything, one of something from every one of your classmates.
Right.
She's asking Alex to supply her with more life force in the form of elementary school children.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what she's doing.
She is a kid-eating witch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She is a parasite. And that's something they did that was fun. Because in the very first story of Justine the teacher, in her nightmare, because a few of them had nightmare scenes, she walks into the classroom and what's written on the whiteboard is parasite. And that was a lesson she was going to teach. So they tell us from very few minutes in that this is a parasitic type of thing. And I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, and also also, when Marcus and his husband Terry were watching a documentary, they were watching something on parasites.
Yeah, it's so smart. And I was going to mention that as well, that they really give us a lot of winks and nods throughout this. The other thing that really struck me with this parasitic relationship, and I'll talk about it, I guess I'll talk about it now, is the Gladys Alex relationship, because she does need him, right? And it's almost like I thought of it like a Dracula Renfield relationship, or something where she's limited in what she can do. So she sends Alex out into the world to do something that she needs and bring it back to her. And it's successful. Alex does this. Alex goes, he steals from his classroom, he goes home, and he knows something bad's going to happen, but he does it anyway, because that he's a child and he's trying to save his family. And that is what brings all of the kids to Gladys in her spell, right? But I thought it was very interesting because later, when the house becomes under attack and there's should we go into more about what the characters are doing, or should we talk about how?
I think I was going to say what's hard about talking about this film is because the way it's presented to us, it's not linear.
It's not.
It's hard to talk about it in a linear way. And not hop around so much.
To be honest, if this were told in a linear way, it wouldn't have been nearly as entertaining. It was so much better to be told this way and to give you a couple of head-scratching moments that then make sense when you see it from another character's point of view.
Right.
So, I don't know how much we really need to go too much into detail as far as what the other characters are doing, because the answer is their best. The father is literally, I mean, with the exception of not using yarn, he's using his architectural tools, but he is mapping out where they could go. The teacher sees the map because he's talking to her, and she sees they intersect at Alex's house, so they stake out the place. The cop who had beaten up the drug dealer had warned him and said, hey, you did something bad, I did something bad, just get out of here and we're okay. The drug dealer broke into the house and saw all the zombified people, including all the kids in the basement. Right. And to get the $50,000 reward, he was going to go to the police station, except Paul saw him and chased after him because he was saying, hey, you're still here. What are you doing here in this neighborhood still? Was furious. And then the cop ultimately was taken or led to Alex's house by the drug dealer, saying, look, the kids are all in there. They're in there, I swear. And so he went in and never came out until much later, when it was clear that he was also now bewitched, and dragged the prisoner, the now drug dealing prisoner, into the house where he later becomes bewitched.
Right. And this is what's so interesting about what's his name? I forget his name. I'm just looking. James is the homeless drug addict.
Oh, yes.
James is interesting because he, again, really, he does about the best thing he can as a criminal, right?
Yeah.
So he's aware that the children are missing. He's aware that there's a $50,000 award. We find out that, yes, James was breaking into homes. He is a baddie. He lives in the forest. He actually gets haunted by the witch. And when he thinks he's being attacked by the witch, he winds up attacking the cop. And then that's when the cop and him get back together again. And this is, again, where people just can't do the right thing, because James is like, I know where the kids are. It's going to be in my interest to tell you where the kids are, but I want the 50,000. So they go to the site, and the cop's not believing him. And this is where the cop's flawed, because now the cop gets ready to go in. Paul, I should say, gets ready to go in, and James is like, hey man, you're still going to give me the 50,000 though, right? And then the cop kind of looks at him like, we're not sure as an audience. I'm not confident as an audience. We don't know.
That drug dealer may disappear, and Paul may have been the hero for finding the kids and getting the reward.
That's right. Yeah. So again, it's sort of, it all erupts into everyone getting attracted to this house. And there are great scenes with James Brolin, who sits down. I love the figure it out montage. It's like a female version of like trying on the clothes montage, Pretty Woman. It's the true crime version of figuring it out. I got the map, I got the slide rule, I have a red pen, and that's exactly right. He figures it out, and that's why he goes to James. He first goes to the house where one of the girls is missing and asks for the video, and the mother is played by the wonderful Sarah Paxton, who was in Aquamarine, one of our favorites. And she's like, I'm not comfortable. And then Justin Long comes home, and he's the husband, and he's comfortable, so he lets Josh Brolin in.
He's comfortable, but you can see he's scared, and this is where the movie does a lot of wonderful things with very little words. It's that great exposition, like we talk about with Columbo, is there's such a lot of information with such a small amount of time and dialogue. Like when Josh Brolin is sleeping in his son's bed, his wife comes in and says, I'm going to work.
Right.
Like that. In other words, you should too. You need to get up and get on. And so in this case, Jason Long is scared. You know, you could see that he's like, oh, hi. Like they all know Brolin, and they know that he's a problem, and they're all dealing with their own grief because their child has disappeared. And now this guy is really acting like he's the only one who's missing a kid.
Right.
And so, yes, he agrees to show Brolin the video, but you get the idea that he's just scared. It's like, hey, let me just, if it'll get this guy the heck out of here, let's go ahead and show him the video.
Yeah, and it's a great, and again, great actors doing great stuff, because the scenes between that small tiny scene set the stage for all of those characters and the feeling of the community. Honestly, the feeling of the community, right? So we also, back to Justine. Justine does meet up with Paul at a bar, and they have a fling, and it's a funny scene after, because we learn that Paul, again, putting more layers on this character, he's with this person named Donna, who, again, shout out, June Diane Raphael plays Donna, Paul's girlfriend, wife, whatever. And I love her. She has a podcast, How Did This Get Made, that I highly recommend
I didn't know
checking in and watching and listening to. And they review films. They have a different take on these films, but she is one of the comedy troupes that does that, and I absolutely love her and her commentary. But she's great. She's always great. She's a character actress who we'll see often, but she is pissed because we learned that Paul is supposed to be in a program, a drinking program. We're assuming I guess it's AA or something like that. And she has plans for him. She's going to build a house. She's going to have the successful cop, and her dad's the police. And you can see her seeing, like, she's very fit. She's very trim. They have a beautiful home. And then she finds out that Paul stepped out on her with Justine, and she loses it with Justine, and she is pissed. And it's, again,
it's almost even worse in the sense that it was, you got him drunk, and now it made sense. We saw that scene first, and then we see later on he was an alcoholic, and that's why he was so hesitant to drink in the bar. So, you know, again, the same thing 3 times. Paul is in the bar with Justine, and he doesn't want to drink alcohol. He's just ordering a Coke, but he ultimately relents and gets a drink. And then later on, Donna attacks Justine in a liquor store and says, you got him drunk. You had sex with him. You got him drunk. And she was almost more mad at the getting him drunk. She said,
100%.
What did you do?
100%.
You know, and then later on, that's when you realize the scene with Paul talking to Donna on the phone that, oh, he's an alcoholic. He's not really as into her as she's into him. He was very kind of dismissive. And so, you know, there were problems. Everybody had problems. Everybody was real. But yes, so Donna beat the heck out of Justine in the liquor store because her wonderful life was now ruined. Everything she had planned is gone now. Yeah,
she's outraged. And I will tell you again, there's that glaring statement that the hero of this film is not the police. The hero of this film is not the principal. The hero of this film is not the adults. The hero really is Alex, right? He is this child, small hero. So Justine puts it together with Archer, who is played by Josh Brolin's character, and they go to the house. And now they go into the house, and it's on. It is on. So, Rich, do you want to tell us about your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, it was wonderful leading up to it, and just to briefly back up, I love that everything the witch did was logical too. Although she was an evil, cackling, child-eating witch, she wasn't just creating mayhem for the sake of mayhem. She needed life force. She did what she did to do it. The only reason Alex wasn't the 18th kid in that basement is that if he stopped going to school, people would come to the house. So she needed him to still go to school. She did not want CPS coming to the house. She took out the principal. She tried to use the principal to take out the teacher. Everything she did was logical. And it wasn't just like this, I'm a villain for the sake of being a villain. She had a very specific need. She was doing everything she could to get there, and when one thing didn't work, she tried another. But yes, now inside the house Alex, we have Alex's bewitched parents, we have a bewitched police officer, we have a bewitched drug dealer, we have 17 bewitched kids in the basement, and now we have Josh Brolin and the teacher walking into the house. And this was just a wonderful, wonderful scene. The witch as she goes into her bedroom, and now the parents are just kind of standing and staring right outside her door with a salt line on the floor. And the witch just says, "Don't cross the salt line," to Alex as she then goes into her room. And in the downstairs part of the house where you have the cop and the drug dealer, there's also a salt line. And we don't know what happens when they cross that salt line.
Right.
But of course, we find out because, understandably, the teacher who had had a relationship and then recently an affair with Paul, the police officer, sees him. And he just kind of, does he do a wave or salute? It was a little dark. I couldn't see, but it was just an odd hand gesture.
He beckons them into the house because Archer and Justine are staking out this house for Alex's house to see what's going on. And they're there for a long time. And they're like, oh, well, the cops are here. Should we go in or not? Or what should we do? And as they're discussing it, Paul opens the front door and beckons them in and then just turns around and walks away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right. And I want to talk about the scene at the gas station for a little bit too. But the one thing I wanted to say about this, and this is where I got confused with the salt. So, again, a Wikipedia note, and based on my own knowledge of witchcraft, a salt circle is a protective boundary created in witchcraft and other magical practices. It's typically created as a sacred or protected space. And this is where, and I did know that before I Googled it, but that is one of the things that I was interested in this film, because typically when you're going to keep bad spirits out, and you see this in voodoo sometimes and other things, you put brick dust over a threshold. So if you see brick dust over a threshold, it's really it's kind of charming. It's saying keep out bad people, keep bad vibes out, right? Mm-hmm. So a salt circle can be protective, and it will protect you from bad things. So I couldn't tell when she said, don't cross the salt boundary, it didn't register with me which way she was going, whether she was protecting herself or if she was protecting Alex because she knew she needed him. And I was like, wait a second, so it didn't register. And I meant to go back and watch that scene, because this idea of protection and having some protection of your environment with this very physically sick person, the witch is very sick person, but she has all these powers. So I think just based on your explanation of that scene, it seems like she was keeping Alex out, but it also registered with me, well, maybe she was protecting Alex because she knew she needed him.
I feel,
sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, considering what happens when Alex does cross the line, I think it was clear she was trying to keep Alex safe. She was basically saying, and maybe it was 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Maybe it was like a tripwire Claymore mine, where whoever crosses that line is going to get wrecked, and that will both protect the witch, but also by warning Alex, it's protecting him. It's like saying, hey, look, there's a landmine right here. Don't step on that. And it protects you because nobody's going to cross that without blowing up. But it'll also protect the person you told, hey, don't do that. And she wasn't careful about telling anyone else not to step over that. She just told Alex. So
Yeah.
I think it was a little of both, but what do you think, Ed?
Well, I was going to say there's really two spells that I wanted to talk about that are in this movie. So one is the spell where she's drawing people near, and we talked about that. That's when all the children left at 2:17 in the morning. But the other spell ties into this scene, the gas station scene as well, where she is able to cast a spell to create weapons, right? And so that salt line I thought was fully just to protect her, because what we witnessed, and now that I think about it, is it's like you're saying too, she needs to preserve Alex, not for any care for Alex, but she just needs him to do her bidding. But that if you cross that salt line, it triggers really her spelled people, which are like her minions, who are going to go, or really her weapons, who are going to go and just whoever crosses that line is now the target. And it will trigger who is spelled to attack that target to death.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the gas station scene. So we learn a little bit more about what this witch can actually do when Justine's at the gas station. She's getting yelled at by Josh Brolin, and he's very hard on her. And then all of a sudden, we see the principal running down in the same posture as these children, running away, and attack at Justin, at the gas station. And Archer is very brave, and he steps in and he helps Justine. And again, we see what a little badass Justine is, because she rolls under the car, she runs inside. As she's going inside, she's getting chased, she escapes, she somehow gets out. As she's leaving, the owner of the gas station was like, "Hey, get out of my store, lady." And she's like, "Oh, you could help me." So it's like very funny. She's sassy, she's funny. So that is the situation. And we do learn ultimately, when we look at Marcus's story, that Marcus has a meeting with Gladys. Gladys cuts his hair or something, and then
this is very important. I'm glad you said that, because it's also two spells for that. She has a plant that she brought with her. It's a thorn bush of some kind.
Right.
And so the way she bewitches you is she takes an item of yours. So she stole one of the principal's ribbons of merit.
That's right.
And that possesses the principal. But the other spell she uses is taking a piece of hair and wrapping it around another thorn, and that's the victim. And so she has possessed the principal to attack his husband, and she does that by cracking the twig with the hair, and that's the trigger for it. And so sadly, the principal, and we again see how powerful she is, she basically forces the principal to kill his husband, and then she wraps up another one of the teacher's hair, cracks it. The principal immediately gets up, Marcus, and Naruto runs, out of the place, and just makes a beeline for the teacher. So he somehow even knows where she is. Like, that spell is so powerful that he just immediately goes to that target. Yeah.
And that's the description. That's when Archer's character explains the plot to us and says they are like weapons. And that's the aha moment in the film where, yes, this witch is using them as weapons. So it's really interesting. So now rounding back to where now everyone's back.
And I'm sorry, just one little brief detour. We also find
one more thing.
Yes, one more thing. Josh Brolin, I mean, he's a huge guy. And the principal's kind of bulky, but he's not as big. But there is no stopping him. You knock him down, he gets right up and goes to completely ignoring Brolin. He is laser focused on the teacher, because that's what he was compelled to do. And so Brolin keeps knocking him down. He gets back up, keeps chasing after the teacher, running down the street after the teacher. Brolin gets in his car, tries to chase him, because he doesn't know what's going on. He just knows that the principal, who is already bloody and in a hoodie, we'd seen him so calm and professional up until that point. And then another car, just out of the blue, smashes into the principal, destroying his head. That's one of the few gory scenes. This is not heavy on gore. It's another reason why I love this. But it also lets us know that finally stopped him. So just like any good zombie movie, destroying the brain will stop this. And so now that we have that little piece of information filed away, now we're back at the house.
Right. So now Alex, again, the hero, even though he's flawed, he's the hero of this movie where he puts it together and he's observant and he realizes, okay, this is what's going on here. And Adrienne, would you like to tell us what Alex does?
The little boy?
Yeah.
So what he does is he hears a whole bunch of commotion downstairs. I think he looks out the window and sees Gandhi, which is his teacher, and Archer, which is his bully's father, come on into the house. And while there's commotion going on downstairs, and there's a funny scene going on downstairs where Archer just keeps on repeatedly picking up James, who is the drug addict, and he just keeps throwing him, and that guy does not, he's maybe 98 pounds soaking wet, tiny compared to enormous Archer, and he just does not stay down, this kid. So there's a commotion downstairs. So then Alex goes upstairs and very, very is sort of like tentatively approaching that salt line, and then he takes one step over it, and that instantly activates his parents to run after him and attack him.
Yeah.
So he holes up in the bedroom, and he's watched Aunt Gladys do her witchcraft enough that he now gathers all of the supplies he needs to cast the spell to make her, meaning Aunt Gladys, the target of these weapons. And he casts a spell, and it unfolds from there.
Yeah, so he does have to act, and he is smart enough to do it, and then he winds up sending all of her weapons are now turned against her in a wonderful, could be any story in history or time. Again, this is just such a great classic story where, again, the creator becomes the pursued, and
Frankenstein's monster
just all these wonderful, historical imagery. And that's when I said to Dominic, I was like, oh, these kids had a ball filming this, because the kids go bananas. And it's one of my favorite scenes where you see these children pursuing this witch. They are going after her. They're not going to stop. They knock down a fence. They run. They jump through windows. And it's so much fun to watch these kids just take off. And because they are little, targets, right?
They're weapons.
Weapons.
Yeah.
And they go, and actually we can talk about the one heartbreaking scene where Josh Brolin is going downstairs to look for his son, and he sees all these other kids. And I thought it was interesting because, again, he's a flawed guy. If I see a missing kid, I don't care if it's my kid or not, I'm going to get that kid out of there. I'm going to grab the kids and go, grab the kids and go, grab the kids and go. You're hoping your kid is in there. Yes, of course. But he's just like, all right, kid. He's like piecing through the children. And I thought it was such an interesting.
I would do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, 17 children.
Sorry, 17 children.
I'm not going to leave those kids, but I'm going to find my kid.
You're going to find your kid first. Yeah. Okay, fair. All right, that's fair.
I do have to say, backing all the way back up to Archer's story, when he has a nightmare and sees his son in bed, he breaks down sobbing, saying, I always mean to tell you this because I always mean it. I love you.
Yeah.
And I want you to remember that because we're going to say something at the end. So, so yes, there is that moment where he's digging through the kids and he sees his son there. And then all of a sudden they're all activated and run out of the house. And at this point, it's almost a full-on comedy.
Yeah.
At this point, the kids are leaping through windows, chasing the witch. It's like we're finally... It's always that wonderful part of the movie where the villain gets their comeuppance. This horrible witch is now getting shoved in an oven by Hansel and Gretel.
It's almost cartoon-like.
Yeah, it's very, very much cartoon-like.
Yeah.
Yes. She's running through houses, opening the door, running through other people's houses who are looking at her, and then the kids just smash through their windows and run straight through and smash through windows on the other side, just all pursuing the witch. And we know from all the other funny moments of Josh Brolin picking up the drug dealer and throwing him across the room, and the guy just gets right up and keeps attacking him over and over and over again. These kids are not going to be stopped, and they're not. They're not. They catch her, and like any good Romero movie, they literally rip her apart.
Yeah, and it's a great ending.
that breaks the spell.
Right.
Her death breaks the spell, the immediate spell.
Yeah.
So that all of these children now kind of cool it, right? They already accomplished their target. In the midst of that, Aunt Gladys still found time to put a spell on Archer to attack Miss Candy.
Yes.
But when she gets pulled apart, that breaks his spell, and now he can go and find his son, which he does.
Right. But this is why I wanted to mention that when he finds his son and he got him and he picks him up and he holds him and he's carrying him, he says, I found you. Not I love you. Not I love you. This was more about him finding him because he become obsessed with finding him than him actually being a good father, because anyone would have said he was breaking down crying, saying, I just want to tell you I love you. I just want one more chance to tell you I love you. Because he never did. Apparently, this guy never told his kid he loved him, and this was his chance. And instead, it was, "I found you." I thought that was a very profound thing that really showed how horribly flawed this man was.
And his kid is, we see earlier in the film, he is a bully. He's not a nice kid. And now you kind of get the wins with that. You're like, oh, well, no wonder this kid's a bully. His dad
His father's distant and and
the mother's very dismissive. I remember that scene again when the mom's like, well, I'm going to work. Like, clearly she has no patience for her husband's grief. So there's not a lot of good feeling, nurturing. The love capsule that we felt in Alex's home was not in their home.
Right.
It just wasn't. It just wasn't.
And there was a wonderful fake out because, of course, up until the witch was died, not only was Brolin strangling the teacher, but the Alex's parents had burst through the shining style through the door of the room he was hiding in, and were going to attack him. And then that stopped too, and you see Alex and then hugging his parents, and they have their back to us, and we want to think, oh, this is such a great ending, and then the camera turns around at some point and you see that the parents are still bewitched, or if not under her control, they did not come back. Josh Brolin came back immediately. Some of the kids were able to start talking again. So I didn't read any of the Wikipedia on purpose. My headcanon is that the less time you're under control, the faster you bounce back when the witch dies, because Brolin bounced back immediately. The kids stopped their attack, but were still not themselves, and it took a while for some of them to even just start talking again. And we were told at the end that the parents are still needing somebody to feed them soup. I mean,
they never recovered.
They're gone. They do not come back.
Which is, it's sad. I'm with you. I think that again, what I found frustrating is I wanted to know what Gladys's problem is. I like to know the story. I want to know what her deal was, and I would like to know what her choice was. Maybe if she's a Comic Con, at one of the Comic Cons, I can find out and ask her. Maybe she'll do the circuit. But I really felt, I'm with you, Rich. I feel like as her powers were diminishing and she got weaker and weaker, maybe her spells were not as strong, or it could be a longevity thing. But unfortunately, the parents do not come back.
Yeah, because they were the first ones that she possessed or bewitched or whatever, however you want to describe it. So now I still like to think that maybe it might still happen for them, and it'll just take them much longer.
Sure.
But now I want to ask you two, because I have my own thought. Who narrated this? This was narrated in the beginning by a small girl's voice.
Yeah.
Who talked about it.
Right.
I have my thoughts. Who do you think that narrator is? Because there was no little girl in the story. So who do you think it was?
Well, I can.
What do you want me to just say? I mean, I can.
No, I can say. Okay, so the narrator is credited as child narrator, and her voice was by Scarlett Sher, Sher, and I think it was just a choice to narrate a fable. I think it's like how we all talk about Amityville Horror here. I think it's an ominous, unattached voice about, years ago, kids, this thing happened. Right. And so I don't think that the narrator was involved in this. And if she was, she was not one of the 18. I think she's just a great choice for a child narrator that sets the tone of the storybook that becomes this fable fairy tale film, which is amazing. That's
and
what I
how
think.
about you, Ads? What do you think? What's your opinion?
Well, because I just watched this movie today, I watched credits, so I happened to see. So I'm cheating with my answer. So I happened to see child narrator. So I knew it wasn't one of the affected children. So it's a child. So I took it as, oh, that's a child narrator, maybe just one of the other kids in town, just like what you were saying, Judy.
Then, well, I have to respectfully disagree with you both. I think that it is one of the girls in his class that it was significant to me that she said some of them, like the last thing she said, like the last sentence of the movie is, some of them started speaking a year ago. And I'm thinking that she was one of them.
It's her. Yeah.
That it was her, that she was one of the other 70, that she was one of the girls in the class, because who else would have known all of this? Everybody else was either dead or you know, or.
But there's other kids in the school.
Yeah, but how would they know all of this stuff? Like, they wouldn't have known any of this. They wouldn't have known about anything. I don't know. That's just look. That was just my theory. To me, it's just strange to just have a narrator that has nothing to do with it and make it a young kid.
Yeah,
I like yours better.
Yeah, I like yours a lot better too. I think it does open it up for interpretation 100%. Sure. I like the idea of people coming back. I know that people who have had horrible things happen to them absolutely can rehab and absolutely can get better. And I like that. I like hope, and I like that idea of these kids all got their voices back and all are doing well now. And you know, that's great. It's good. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with, she was successfully one of the 18, and she is flourishing now and lived on to tell her story. So, but that is another reason why I really like this movie. I like this movie because it gives you a lot to pick apart. I can't remember the last horror film I saw. Maybe it was It Follows, where there's just so much meat on the bone. There's a lot there. It was a lot crammed into this film. It was absolutely wonderful. Like I said, my only gripe is because I like things spelled out for me and I like endings. I want to know who this Gladys was. I want to know if she's a worm or a Martian or just a witch. I wanted to know all of it.
I mean, for me, first of all, this was almost 2 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah. And I didn't feel a second of it. And so much of it was because of the way they told it. So it was like little short stories almost.
Yeah.
And that were part of a bigger narrative. And it was wonderful. For me, and I know it's a matter of taste, I like not knowing anything. For me, I know enough. She's a witch. She was sick. She needed to bewitch people for their life force. And so if, I don't necessarily crave an explanation as to why. But I also understand people's desire to know why. And you might get your wish, because I think they were talking about doing a prequel specifically.
Oh, that'd be great.
Aunt Gladys. So.
Okay.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I do. Tell me best character, worst character.
Oh.
Best character, worst character in this film.
Rich, do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. This is actually tough because they were all really good. And I don't know what you mean by best. Do you mean like just objectively the most interesting, or just best in whatever I mean?
Just that, what that means too. Do they have the best moral character? Did you enjoy them the most? Just literally best, worst.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say that worst, believe it or not, is Josh Brolin, only because as a father, that was just so soul crushing to see him get his child back and still not tell him I love him. On the other hand, if it wasn't for him, it also wouldn't have gotten solved.
Oh, right.
I think that the teacher was a wonderful character, but I mean, she's an alcoholic. Who the heck? I guess Alex the kid would technically be, from a moral point of view, the best character. I mean, this poor kid is going to school, getting bullied, feeding his parents soup, and the 17 kids in the basement soup, knowing at any moment, like there was a point where Aunt Gladys said, no talking today. So he wasn't even allowed to talk the rest of the day.
She was a terror.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's silly to say anybody but the witch is the worst character, but I don't think you meant it that way necessarily.
Let's do this. Ready?
Yeah.
exclude the innocents like Alex,
Okay.
and
Okay.
exclude the
Ooh.
obvious villain, the
Okay.
witch.
Okay, now that makes it fun. I'm
Right?
gonna still stick with Archer
Okay.
as the worst, even though I mean we're talking about a literal drug dealer, so I guess he isn't all that great either. But I think he was more true to himself, just
Mhm.
doing what he could to get more drugs and things. Um, in that case, I mean the principal really wasn't enough of a character for me to claim him as best because he kind of showed up, did a great job, and then was bewitched and
Yeah.
destroyed. Um, I guess it may be, I guess I will go with the teachers being the best, but I still don't feel good about it. That's how good they were at making complex
Yeah.
characters. I don't feel good calling Brolin the worst, and I don't feel good calling her the best, but I really don't know any other answer. What do
Yeah.
you think, Judy?
So interesting. If you're speaking about just good people, I would normally say the principal because he's very good, but he's a bureaucrat. So he definitely does the easiest thing for the school and the students. So he while he normally would have been a great guy, I'm going to take him out of it. I think actually Donna is the greatest
Mm,
because she is a woman who wants a successful house, works hard on her relationship. You see, she was successful. She was away at a convention, being an
yep.
important team member, working hard from a successful family. Her father is the police captain. So I'm going to call, and she's mad. She's mad. And it's not the cheating element, which
Mm,
that I found that really interesting. She was mad because something hurt the success of her loved one. So I'm
yep.
going to give her the best title in this because she was the purest
Okay.
character of doing the right thing. Um, the
But
worst,
as part of doing the right thing, though, she physically assaulted a
she
woman
shouldn't
in
have
the
done that.
store.
No, she
So,
shouldn't have done that, but she was pissed.
but
She
yeah,
was
yeah,
pissed.
yeah.
Right.
I can't blame
Um,
her, but
yeah, and the worst character, I didn't really appreciate what you were saying. It did register with me when Josh said, I found you, because he was almost going on this like Odyssey, right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
found you idea, but I just can't get past the witch was just pure evil. So I guess I'll go with James, the homeless
Mm,
my word, homeless drug addict. But again, I always say you can't blame a shark for biting you.
yeah.
You can't blame a person who has to rob to sustain a habit
Yeah.
for robbing you, right? I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
so
he's no
I'm gonna
different than Gladys, right? He's
right.
really no
He's
different than
no
Gladys.
different than
Everything
Gladys
he was doing was just a
to
more,
satisfy his needs.
yeah, it
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
any, it was a non-supernatural version of what Gladys was doing. So
Right.
we're like a little immune to it or desensitized to it, I guess is a better way to put it.
Well, yeah.
He's doing
He
the same
obviously
thing.
stole a little girl's iPad and
Yeah.
Yeah.
earphones out of a car just to buy drugs.
Look, he wasn't going to tell anybody about those kids in the basement until he saw the reward.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's not altruistic.
Yeah.
When he saw that there was a reward, he's like, oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
It'll serve me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's really no different than Gladys.
Right. So
So
Adrienne, what are your goodies and baddies?
Okay, so my best is I was going to say Marcus, but I take your point about him being a bureaucrat because you're absolutely right. He really should have called CPS.
Yeah.
yes, he should not
He
have gone
really
for a
should have.
meeting. Yeah.
He shouldn't have let it go over the
He's a
weekend.
mandatory reporter.
I mean,
He
I would
had
have.
to call CPS. Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Terry, his husband, who
Oh,
who was wearing a matching Disney shirt. I loved this character. He was making dinner, and then he
yes.
welcomed an elderly woman into the home to be like, "Yeah, let's give you a glass of water." Now, was everything he did a bad idea? Yeah, but I think he's the best. But
Well, he's an innocent.
yeah,
He's an
you're right.
innocent.
But I was really gonna say, yeah, no, I love Donna. I actually
Yeah.
just love Donna. I love
Yeah.
that she's just like, you're jamming up everything for me, and now I'm gonna kick your ass.
Well, that outfit alone let you know that she
Yeah.
does Pilates every
Oh,
morning.
she's spinning at night.
She's spinning at night. She's
Spin class at
successful. She's
night.
probably a team lead. Her
Yeah.
team probably likes her. She remembers people's birthdays. She's making plans to go to her parents' anniversary dinner. Like she is on it, and you jacked her life,
Yeah.
Justine. So
Yeah.
All right, so now main characters, because you guys both, I think, cheated a little bit with Donna. She was great, but she was in the movie 5 minutes.
Okay, so then Marcus, I still think is the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think worst character is Paul. This is the most flawed of the bunch, in my opinion. I know Justine is flawed. She has no boundaries. It was mentioned that she was let go of her other job because it was implied that she had an affair with a coworker.
Yeah.
She had an inappropriate relationship that got her fired from her other job with a coworker. It was clarified that it was with a coworker.
Right.
She does whatever she wants. So she's pretty flawed, but I still think
she's brave though.
She is brave. I think
she's
Paul,
brave.
I can't think of one redeeming quality from Paul. I can find a redeeming quality from almost every other main character and every other sub character. I can't find one redeeming quality from Paul at all. Who was the cop.
That's
so
fair.
I'm gonna say he's the worst character, but he had the best mustache.
Yeah.
I also think that I don't like bullies, so I know that you don't want me to do a side character, but I'm gonna throw a little Matthew in there, Archer.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
He was awful.
He was a good bully.
The pencil right at the kid's face.
He was a good bully. He was a good bully.
With his little camouflage shirt.
Yeah. So, and I am a sucker for the school setting because I went back. I mean, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. I watched Halloween, the original Halloween a lot. And there is a subtlety, we see it in Nightmare on Elm Street. We see it in a lot of movies with that classroom setting where you get a lot of personalities. There's a lot of meat on that bone for a setting. And you see this little tiny Alex. And it's just interesting. It's interesting to see that. So Matthew was for sure a bully, then Rich, did you give your good and bad?
I think so. I'm gonna. You might have swayed me with the drug dealer because the truth is he really was the human version of Gladys.
Yeah.
But I think probably the reason I'm coming down so hard on Josh Brolin is I feel like I hold him up to more. So he was more of a disappointment to me. So whereas the drug dealer was a drug dealer the entire movie, I really felt like I was hoping for more for this father who was hunting down his child at the expense of his own job, marriage even. And then at the very end, it was clear that it was just about him. It was about him. Like you said, he was digging through other kids. And yes, I would probably frantically do something similar just to see what my kids, if my kids are in there.
Yeah.
But when he ultimately had that chance, I feel like he blew it. And so to me, I think I'm still gonna stick with him, but I absolutely see your point about the drug dealer because he really was what Gladys would be if she wasn't a witch.
So I guess at this point, I will ask the final question. Did this movie provide 50 minutes of fear? Rich?
Absolutely. I mean, this was a 2-hour and 10-minute movie, and I feel like 2 hours of it was fear. The tension was so good because even with mundane things, you were starting to worry. I would say my only criticism is I'm not a huge fan of dream sequences because they ultimately don't mean anything.
Yeah.
But even so, they were scary and compelling. So unquestionably, this to me satisfied 50 minutes of fear.
Adrienne?
This is definitely 50 minutes of fear. Just feeling off kilter for that long and the anticipation of fear is fear itself. So yes, 50 minutes of fear for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's absolutely satisfies the criteria of 50 minutes of fear. I do want everyone to draw their attention to the wonderful, again, costume that Amy Madigan wore in this. The set design, she made me uncomfortable to look at her. Yeah. She made me, if I was walking down the street, I would cross the street, I would give her space. I'm wondering how many Halloween costumes are going to be of her next year because it's wonderful. I think, Rich, you and I were talking before that your wife was interested in perhaps doing that.
She almost went as her. Yeah. So I have a feeling we may see her show up we may see a few Aunt Gladys's next Halloween.
We might. So again, thank you too. So Rich and Adrienne, you are the hosts of the podcast, Rumpled Trench Coat. Where can we see and listen to that?
On YouTube at Rumpled Trench Coat, a Columbo Podcast, and also on SoundCloud if you want the audio-only version.
Okay, so like and subscribe to that. And I think you have Instagram as well. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
that's right.
So we
Also
will
at
look
Rumpled
for
Trench
that.
Coat.
And I will sign off now with my fear not. Don't piss off any witches and go watch Weapons. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining. Bye, guys.